Hi there, it's Ian over at Griptape, and today we're going to jump into LoRAs, or rather using LoRAs with diffusion models in Griptape Nodes. If you're not familiar with the term, LoRAs are low-rank adaptation techniques for AI models. They allow you to adapt large models without retraining, and they achieve this by adding a small set of additional trainable parameters to the model. And this makes it much faster and cheaper to customize models, and they're used typically for things like specific image styles or to ensure that character consistency is improved with generative models. And I've got an example here where I've used LoRAs for a couple of different things that I just wanted to talk you through. I guess the first thing to talk about is how you use them. So they're attached to the Diffusion pipeline builder nodes that I talked about in the last video that we published. And to use them, you use the LoRa file, Flux LoRA File node, which looks a little bit like this. So you would open this node, add it to your canvas, and then add the file path to the specific LoRa that you wanted to use. So you need to link to the safetensors file for the LoRa. If you download them from Hugging Face using our model management features, like this one here, let's find an example. So this is an example of a LoRa here. You'll see they end up in .cache, Hugging Face, hub models. And then in there, you'll find a safetensors file. So that's what you would find and add in the file path in the Flux LoRA file node that you can see here. If the LoRa needs a trigger phrase, you'd add that there. So like miniature world would need a trigger phrase of miniature world. And then you would connect that to your stable diffusion pipeline by joining the LoRa's output to the LoRa's input. And you could add multiple. So you can see you could add another one there if I wanted to. And then when you build your pipeline, or when your pipeline is built as part of your workflow, you'll see that you get a configuring Flux LoRA step in your pipeline where the LoRa is applied to the particular model weights that you've loaded in as part of your pipeline. And here we're really talking about LoRAs for Flux One Dev. That's the most extensive set of LoRAs that are currently available on Hugging Face Hub. And I've used a couple of them here. The first one that I've used is called anti-blur. So you can see here anti-blur, and that removes the tendency of Flux One Dev to have shallow depth of field, or wouldn't say entirely removes, counteracts some of the shallow depth of field effects that you often see in images generated with Flux One Dev. And I've used that on this ice pumpkin prompt that I've got here. And you'll see that the depth of field is not compressed in the way that it usually is when using Flux One Dev for generation. So it increases the depth of field within the generated image. And then the other one that I've used is a LoRa here for Realism, the Realism LoRa. And that is used to minimize artifacting or creation of artifacts when upscaling images. So I was seeing a problem with upscaling where artificial looking artifacts were being created in my images, and I added that LoRa and it actually suppressed the creation of those artifacts. So I got a much cleaner upscale, and you can see that in this upscaling effect here. The upscale is visible there. So when the slider is over to the right, the image on the left is the upscaled. And when the image is moved back to the left, the original input image, you'll see is lower resolution, but it also includes a lot more artifacts. So the effect of that LoRa has been to smooth out the upscaling process and reduce the addition of artifacts into the image. The other technique that I've used here is actually just scaling up the image generation parameters on this generation node here to produce an image at 1440 by 1440. And you can see that I can reuse the same pipeline node across multiple image generation nodes. So this pipeline node is actually connected both to this generate image node and to this one underneath. So that should give you a quick flavor, quick introduction of how to get started with LoRAs in Griptape Nodes. If you've got any questions, jump over onto our Discord. You can find that in the nav menu on griptapenodes.com, and I and the team will be happy to help you out with any questions that you might have. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.